as the third arrow plunges deep into your chest, and you cannot take a step closer to the hobbits that you have grown close to over this journey to Mordor. You, Boromir, have to make a decision in Daggerheart. How are you going to handle death? Yes, that's right. There are some specific death moves that the player is empowered to choose between in Daggerheart. The philosophy of that is really interesting to me as an avid Critical Role watcher.
Yes.
Because it really feels like when you spend 3 years of your life connecting with a character and you really don't want them to die, it can create a friction in games like Dungeons and Dragons where technically it's not up to you.
Yeah.
Right? It's up to the dice, which we love, and it's up to the situation. Is the GM going to pull their punches? Are they going to figure out, oh, maybe I won't go after the animal companion because everybody likes them.
Yeah.
We don't want that to have to be a choice that is forced on you. So in Daggerheart, they fully allow the player, the person playing the role, if it's an actual play, or if it's a home game, the person playing the role, embodying the character, you get to choose what happens.
Yeah.
We got 3 options. Which one do we want to start with?
I want to, because we're talking about player agency so much, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about Critical Role. So I think a really great place to see it is Daggerheart, like a lot of tabletop is becoming, is really focused on the cinematic aspects. And we all saw, spoiler alert, for campaign 3 of Critical Role incoming. If you are not caught up, please turn it off now. Okay, so fresh cut grass. So there was this moment, right, in campaign 3 when Fresh Cut Grass, played by Sam Riegel, there in the middle of a combat, realized that they were in dire straits and that his party was unlikely to make it out alive. It was really grim. I remember Matt Mercer's face at the time was full of tension. GMs have been there before.
Yeah.
Sam Riegel had been told that his little clank, is what I'm going to call him for the purposes of Daggerheart, his robot friend, he had a detonator that he had found out about a long time ago inside of his chest. And so, in an attempt to give his party the ability to go on without him, he chose to invoke, I'll call it by the name of what's in Daggerheart, Blaze of Glory. That's player agency from the start. And it is built into Daggerheart here, where your character chooses, like Boromir, to embrace death and go out in a blaze of glory. You get to, as soon as your health drops to 0, your health pool drops to 0, you get to immediately take an action at the GM's discretion. We're not going to be crazy, right? But at the GM's discretion, which is going to critically succeed. No dice involved. And then you get to cross through the veil of death. So it's Boromir looking across to his hobbit companions, realizing he is going to end, but knowing he has that one last push to stand up and cut through the last few orcs, right? It's that fresh cut grass moment of walking into the center, choosing to grab onto the adversary and explode, detonate, so that his party can get away in the wake of all of that. And man, is it going to lead to some cinematic moments at your table. What about another one?
Yeah, maybe you want to hold on to this character. It could be your first session. And as we all know, in almost every TTRPG, session 1 is swingy. You can have some dice just decide, I guess half your party's dead now. I guess that's what's going to happen.
Sorry.
If you don't want that, if you would rather continue to allow your character to develop, flourish, grow, evolve, then you can choose instead to avoid death.
Yeah.
That's your choice as a PC in Daggerheart.
Yeah.
I really don't want my character to die. And the GM says, I think that makes sense. Yeah. Instead, you can make a roll, and depending on your level, once you are unconscious, you roll your hope die.
Yeah.
This D12, and if its value is equal to or under your character level, they gain a scar. So you want to roll high, meaning at lower levels, it's easier to avoid a scar, a consequence that you and the GM agree upon. And then as you get to higher levels, well, it could be that maybe one of your abilities, your strength as a Daggerheart character, maybe it has a -1 now. Maybe they're going to give you a scar that has a mechanical effect or a story effect.
Yeah.
And if you don't like either of those 2 options, there is one more.
Well, before we move on to that last one, I have to talk about this a little bit more, because the whole thing is, at tables that I've played at for the last year, because Sean and I have both been GMing at conventions like Gen Con 2024, PAX Unplugged, Gamma, right? A lot of people don't want to use that avoid death. I think that they think of it as a cop-out. That scar piece is so impactful. It fixes a lot of issues that you have in other tabletop where maybe you're, as the GM, you see the option to cut off a character's arm. You should not do that as the GM. But the player might want to take one of those.
If there's buy-in,
Yeah, but also there's a mechanical aspect to it. You had talked about the -1. The real piece of the scar is that you are going to, when you take a scar, permanently remove one of your hope slots. That means that you will never have the full breadth of hope available to you anymore. You're a damaged guy.
Yeah,
you know?
your max has gone down.
Your max has gone by. And if you ever mark off your last hope, there is permadeath option in this game, even without the player agency of it all. If you choose to avoid death as long as you can, keep on fighting, stay on your feet, at some point, it's coming for you.
Yeah, you won't be able to make a mockery of death forever.
Yeah. And then there's the last one, right? If you really just love Lady Luck, the fates are in your favor, all of that, then you do have a very fun way to keep that energy up at your table, which is risking it all. So with the risk it all mechanic, you're going to roll your duality dice. If the hope die is higher, then you're going to stay in combat. This is, by the way, when you roll a nat 20 in D&D 5th edition and you get back on your feet. It's the same thing. You're going to clear an amount of hit points or stress equal to the value of the hope die. And you can even mitigate those between your hope and your stress. If the fear die is higher, well, then your character is going to cross through the veil of death.
Let's just find out real quick.
Yeah,
Let's just see if I'm dead. I'm okay.
He's okay.
I survived.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah. The hope die was a 5. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The fear die was a 2. So you're still alive. I do want to point out, because we had just said, oh, it's like a critical success in D&D 5th edition, right? But what if these had both been 5s and you had therefore rolled, as we all know, boys and girls, a critical success in Daggerheart always doubles.
Same number, yeah.
If you do that, it is that much sweeter in Daggerheart, because you're going to have your character stay up and clear all hit points and all stress. You emerge back in.
Yeah.
Divine intervention.
Yeah, Rocky 2.
Rocky. I didn't hear no bell.
Yeah, you get to have that incredible moment where you're fairly certain the group's all going to go down. There's going to be a death spiral of some kind.
Yeah.
But because of the dice, turns out you're a superhero.
Yeah.
And those are the moments we want in our games.
Yes.
And if you're interested in dying in Daggerheart, we highly recommend getting the book from Darrington Press. Check it out now. It's available. And if you want to learn more, you can watch the videos on this here very channel, this here social media, at RPGBTV or at The Faint Divinities.
The Faint Divinities.
We'll talk more soon.